Alright, welcome back to the channel. Let's go for a ride. So, this video is going to be unscripted, and it might even come off kind of like a little bit of a rant, but some things have been going on over the last couple weeks that really need to be brought out. We need to talk about them a little bit. And I'm sure most of y'all have seen the exchange between Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci. It happened last week when Rand Paul grilled Dr. Fauci on the gain of function research and his institute giving the grants to the Wuhan lab. Well, Fauci said, well, no, we didn't give anybody any money for gain of function. That money was supposed to have been used for, we gave them a grant for their, viral research. Well, and like Rand Paul pointed out, that's kind of like the Planned Parenthood argument is we give Planned Parenthood grants and money, but yet that money is not used for abortions. It goes into the fund to fund Planned Parenthood, so therefore part of Planned Parenthood's funds pay for abortion. Same thing here with the Wuhan lab. But we've all seen that. But now, since that's been talked about, we're getting a complete reversal on what the narrative is. You remember a year ago, or a little over a year ago, we were told no, it couldn't have escaped from a lab. It was a host animal, and it came from the sorry, my radar detector's going off. It jumped from animal to human. Well, here we are a year and a half into this deal, and the host animal has never been found. Back when we had I think it was the bird flu, the SARS, whatever it was, a few years back, it took them 4 months to find that host animal. But here we are a year and a half into this. We have 3-4 vaccines that they said couldn't be produced in less than 5 years, no matter what. But yet we don't know where the host animal is. And the World Health Organization did their investigation. They said that now they're saying that from their initial investigation, they didn't see any evidence that it could have leaked from the lab. But if you kept up with this from the beginning, this 3 scientists thing where there was 3 of them that were hearing that were hospitalized in November of 2019 with COVID-like symptoms. That's not new news. That news was floating around at the beginning, and then it got suppressed, and nobody talked about it because if you say that it escaped from a Wuhan lab, then you're this horrible Trump supporter. You're this horrible right-wing, white supremacist. You're, whatever they called everybody. They said that Trump called it the China virus. They said, you can't say that. You can't say that. It's not China's fault. Well, turns out a year and a half later, here we are. Looks like it might be. Now, if you know anything about China and the way they conduct business, or particularly the Communist Party in China and the way they conduct business, you'll know that that's pretty much par for the course. Human rights violations, they're one of the largest human rights violations contributors or violators or whatever you want to call them. If you disagree with the Communist Party in China, they'll put you in jail and sell your organs on the black market. And people say, oh, no. Yeah, they will. Look it up. They do. And so why would China not hide that? Why would they not spit out typical communist propaganda that they feed to their people? They would. But I don't know what's more disturbing, that this propaganda was spewed throughout mainstream media that was basically Chi-Com propaganda. I don't know what's worse, that the Chinese produced these talking points, fed them to the World Health Organization, who fed them to the CDC, who fed them to the media, who spit them out all over television and the airwaves and radio and newsprint and the internet. I don't know what's worse, that or the fact that people believed them. I don't know what's worse. Here we are a year and a half into this, and now people are saying, oh, wait a minute, maybe it did escape from the lab. Well, let's back up for a minute and think. How did we get to this? Where did this thing originate? Wuhan. Chinese said it did. They said it first originated from a market. Then it jumped from a bat to a human. Some guy ate a medium rare bat. It was crazy. But the point is, no one denied that it started in Wuhan. Now, this is the part that baffles me and blows my mind. They spit out all this propaganda saying it was a naturally occurring virus that just made a leap from animal to human. We didn't do anything to it, and it did not escape from this lab. Okay. The lab in Wuhan is a virology lab. They do gain of function research. Again, it's in Wuhan. The virus started in Wuhan. Where do you think it came from? I mean, if we use common sense and say, okay, we have this virus we've never seen before in humans, it's highly contagious, it's deadly, and it originated in Wuhan, and there's a virology lab in Wuhan, but it didn't escape from there? It didn't come out of that lab? I don't know what kind of mental gymnastics you have to do to discredit that. I don't understand how so many people were so quick to believe that it didn't come from that lab. I mean, come on, let's look. We have, if you have a guy that lives in your neighborhood who's a convicted sex offender, he likes to rape women, and a woman in your neighborhood gets raped, where's the first person the cops are going to go? They're going to go to their house, and rightly so. But yet here we have a virology lab that does gain of function research in Wuhan. The virus originated in Wuhan, but it didn't come from that lab, and it's impossible that it could have. That's what we were told for a year and a half. Oh, it's impossible. That would not have happened. But now we have a different narrative. And people say, well, we don't know that for sure. And no, we don't. It needs to be investigated. They need to find out for sure. But I would bet dollars to donuts it came from there. Will we ever know? Likely not. The Chinese Communist Party, they control information in such a way they've perfected it. If people thought the Soviet Union controlled information back during the Cold War, they haven't seen anything. China controls information down to, I mean, think about it. They have a social credit score in China. They My kids play games online, and when they're playing games with people in China, and they suspect that they may be hacking and putting in extra goodies or whatever that makes them better at the game than they really should be, they will type in the chat Tiananmen Square, and that person gets kicked. That's how controlling China is about information. So why would we think we would ever find out for sure from them? We're not. We have to use some common sense and say it's a pretty good. There's a pretty good possibility that that's probably where it came from. Now, whether it was an accidental leak or they did it on purpose, those are debates for other people. I have my opinions on that, as do probably some of you. But what I find disturbing is the amount of propaganda coming out of China that found its way directly into our media and spit out as fact. Now, what's interesting is a year and a half ago or 6 or 7 months ago, if you had tweeted the virus came from the Wuhan lab, you would have been kicked off Twitter. If you had put all this stuff on Facebook, your post would have been taken down. It's funny how things that you would have been taken off of Twitter and taken off of Facebook for 6 months later now have turned out to be true. And it's not just the Wuhan thing. It's not just the corona thing. There's other things out there too, and I think y'all know what I'm talking about. But the Chinese government has held the world hostage by basically operating by the rule of a criminal organization. An organized crime organization operates the way the Chinese Communist Party does. Pablo Escobar. We all remember him, right? He operated just like the Chinese government. I don't know. I guess the Chinese took notes from him. He's put out money to buy people and buy communities and cities and towns and villages for protection. China does the same thing through their Belt and Road Initiative. They've gone throughout the world and spit money out to these countries and these organizations so that they're beholden to them. They owe them favors. And I suspect that's what's happened with the World Health Organization too. That's why for a year and a half, they towed the line. They carried water for China. Will they continue to do that? I don't know, but I know the tide is shifting. And if you don't know, if I'm talking a little fast, it sounds like I'm just damning China and I'm not giving you a whole lot of information. If you don't know a lot about China's and their political strategy and their political philosophy and their strategic culture, maybe I'll do a video on that here come soon. I'll get my research stuff out and I'll really get down to the nitty gritty on how the political system and the strategic culture of China really is. But if you don't understand that, just Google a little bit and read up on it. You'll find that they're pretty dirty. I mean, when I said that they'll put you in prison and take your organs, they do. They take political dissidents. They go off in the mountains of China and they round up these Christians, and they put them in jail because Christianity is illegal in China unless you're a member of the approved church through the Communist Party, and they'll put them in jail. And once they put them in jail, now they're property of China, and they will take their organs and sell them on the black market, and until there's no organs left, or until the person gets out of jail, they'll go to prison with all their kidneys and come out. They may die in prison because they lose both of their kidneys. But this is how they operate, and so to think that they wouldn't operate any other way in regards to the Wuhan lab is preposterous. They just spit out a bunch of propaganda, and because the coronavirus became so politicized that people chose sides. And the one that made the most noise is the one that got their way. But now here we are, a year and a half later, the world's starting to open back up, or at least it is. It's open down here in Texas. Many other states are following suit. And now it seems that the truth might be coming out, that maybe it did come from this lab in Wuhan. I think it did. I don't know if it was intentional or not. It's like I said, that's up for y'all to debate. But I have my beliefs on it, though. But these three scientists in November of 2019, that's not new news. If you'll search some articles from the news in early 2020, you'll see where they mentioned these people for a small amount of time, not very long, a couple weeks, and then they disappeared. And now they're back. These people had gotten sick with COVID-type like symptoms, and the Chinese hid it. There's another website out there. It's called ChinaWatch.org, I think. I'll find it. Find the link. I'll put it in the description. That tells the story of what China did when, in the early days, weeks, and months of the COVID crisis, they hoarded medical supplies. They canceled flights out of Wuhan unless they were international. If you were in Wuhan after the outbreak in Wuhan and you wanted to leave China, you could get on a plane and leave. But if you wanted to go anywhere else in China, you weren't allowed to. You had to stay in Wuhan. These are the kind of things that they did. And then once the virus spread to the rest of the world, and you had these other countries where China had received medical supplies, masks, respirators, whatnot, because they're still considered a developing country, even though they're not. They received all these medical supplies. They hoarded them and then turned around after the outbreak was a pandemic worldwide, and then sold these medical supplies back to these countries that were in need. They needed masks and gloves and things like that. It was really horrible what they did. But I didn't intend on this video being this long. I expected it to be 7 to 8 minutes. So I said it could sound a little like a rant, but these are some questions. These are some things that we need to talk about. We don't need to let it die. The light is now being shined in some of these dark corners, and we're getting to the bottom of it, and we need to just keep pressing. So remember, to be aware is to be alive, and I'll see you next time.